Good morning and welcome to Smart Mints Business. I'm Andrew Barigi. It's exactly 5 minutes past the hour of 7 a.m. And of course, I officially welcome you back from the weekend. Hope it was a great one and you made up new prospects. I personally had a really wonderful weekend right there. And I also officially welcome you to this particular segment of the SMB News Recap, where we go through the day's previous news stories, and this time around we're talking about the week before the end of the week. That was a Friday, the stories that were making headlines into the world of business. And to start with, and of course the week ended on a sad note as the prison plaza collapses. Let's have the details of this particular story, and I'll be returning right back with more highlights.
Wano embeera nejjanga eraga nti enkuba egenda kutonnya wabula esoose kuleeta kibuyaga omuyitirivu ennyo ne tutegulawo pikipiki zaffe.
We've been here and the clouds show that it wants to rain, but it started with a lot of storm. We removed our motorbikes to the veranda amidst the heavy storm. We had something fall, then glasses spread all over the road. Looking there, motorcycles were left all down and parts spread all over the road. As for us, we were inside waiting for the rain to stop, and then we had something bursting. At first, I thought it was an aeroplane, but only to see it was glasses from the building. However, nothing has been spoiled apart from the borders on the side and these cars.
Ezifunye obuzibu ekitone nnyo ziringa mukaaga neziyinza n'okuba nga ziwere 10 naye ate si zaffe bammemba abakolera wano.
The motorcycles that were spoiled were like 6 to 10, but they are not for our members on the stage. However, some properties were spoiled.
Regarding that particular aspect of the heavy rain that took place, that was on Friday when we ending last week. The heavy rain left one business plaza in Kampala with damages. The rain started, that was at around 2 p.m. We are talking about Friday this time around, and had hurricane that portion glasses on the prison plaza, damaging that's about 2 cars and other border that were parked. That's on the roadside. Fortunately, no deaths were recorded of the tenants or any other businessmen losing property. All right. And now let's cross over to the Parliament as the bill on organ donation transplant is yet to start. In Uganda, the operations are yet to be started. Let's have the details of this particular report. And now, of course, we shall be returning right back with the details.
The Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Bill 2021 is aimed at regulating the donation of organs, cells and tissues, as well as their transplant. The bill is also aimed at looking at ways of having storage facilities for the organs, but also ensure that it addresses the issues of illicit trade. According to the chairperson of the committee, Dr. Charles Ayume, the bill aims at protecting the dignity and identity of every person and guarantees respect for their integrity. He adds that the bill is for the benefit of all Ugandans since it is not money-oriented.
This is a non-commercial law, and there are several areas in the bill that say is non-commercialization of organ transplant. And if we get you money exchanging hands, whether it's in a private facility, then the laws of the land, which we have clearly spelled, will apply. Jail terms of up to 12 years, penalties of up to 2 billion shillings.
Ayume also says that the bill has serious penalties for the offenders, especially those who will be caught trading human organs.
Here we're not talking about mild penalties. We're talking about penalties up to 2 billion shillings. jail terms of up to 12 years. These are supposed to act as deterrents. So we're not talking about penalties of sweep around the courtroom and 100,000 shillings, 1 million shillings. We're talking about 2 billion shillings. Like, for example, if a hospital is, there's evidence that it has been engaged in organ trafficking, then the fine is 10 billion shillings. Organ harvesting in children, in the law, children are not supposed to be subjected to organ harvesting. And the penalty there is life imprisonment. We are not even putting a financial penalty.
The MPs say this is the first bill of its kind since Uganda has not had any organ transplant operation done before, and many people have had to travel abroad, which is way too expensive.
Bill, if signed into law, will allow Ugandans to access organs in designated medical centers so that they can survive.
They should be for free. That's why we are creating awareness, so people begin offering. It's like almost like blood donation. We all want blood at one point, but it cannot be manufactured. It's through people coming out willingly and donating blood. So it is something we are also trying to initiate through this bill, so people know that through giving you can save a life. Not only yourself, you can save a friend, you can save a child, you can save an elderly, and even a family member by offering to donate. Yeah.
The bill will be forwarded to the head of state for presidential assent before it can become a law.
The Parliament passed the Uganda Human Donation and Transplant Bill that seeks to permit the donation on the transplant of human organs. And of course, that bill being signed by the President will help Ugandans who have been flocking countries like India for surgical operations to start doing it right here. And now let's cross over to the Consumer Price Index as we examine how the price indexes were in the previous month of September. That's according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Let's have the details of this particular report.
The inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index for Uganda for 12 months to September has hit 10.0%, up from 9.0% recorded in August 2022. According to Eddie Ganimba, the principal statistician at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the increase was mainly driven by the high commodity prices that increased to 8.1%, up from 7.2% registered in the year ended August 2022.
Price index for Uganda for the 12 months to September 2021 increased to 10.0% from the earlier registered 9.0% for August 2022. This was mainly driven by the increase in prices of commodities under core inflation that increased to 8.1% in the year ending September 2022.
Among the commodities that contributed to the increase in inflation was rice and sugar. Indices show that rice inflation increased to 32.2% in September, up from 17.5% in August, and sugar inflation increased to 29.3% from 21.1% in August 2022. Magoma Godfrey, statistician at Ubasi, attributed the high price of rice to poor harvest, and that of sugar was due to lack of raw materials.
What has led to the increase in prices for rice and sugar? As for rice, we remember we had very poor harvests in the previous season. So the local produce was relatively not good. That means the supply reduced. Now, we've been getting rice, importing rice from Tanzania specifically. And now, Tanzania, it seems to got a better deal with another country, whereby they have shifted most of their exports to that country, leaving us with very little supply. That means has led to reduced supply on our market. As for sugar, this has come in because of lack of raw material, the cane sugar.
Currently, rice super is selling between 5,000 to 5,600 per kilogram before it was 3,000. 1 kilogram of sugar is selling at 5,500 and before it was 300.
To enjoying meat, maybe you can do beans that are cheap. Okay, beans went up, but what I'm trying to say is try to substitute with a cheaper product, because you now need more money to purchase the same basket of goods and services. So you just have to regulate yourself and maybe adjust on the basket of goods and services you're consuming. Thank you.
However, there was a decrease in inflation of some commodities and the food crops and related items like onions at a minus 15.1% from 6.0%, watermelon at a minus 16.0% from 6.0%, among others.
Okay, the inflation rate for Uganda for 12 months to September has increased by 10, that's 0.0%, up from 9.0% projected in August, that was 2022. Data from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics indicates that the increase was mainly driven by the rising, of course, prices of commodities, but in particular, rice and sugar. All right. Now let's cross over back to the Parliament again, as the Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection asked government to scrap off the current fee of 50,000 on the new proposed 200,000 while replacing and correcting errors on the national identification cards. Let's have the details of this particular story.
The famine has been attributed to a back-to-back fullness of problems of low crop yields due to locust invasion, followed by prolonged drought and floods, COVID-19 disruptions, and explosion of insecurity reportedly funded by cattle rustlers. Officials from different corners have tried to advocate for peace and stability in the Karamoja region. Esther Nyakuni, the State Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, has therefore today led the flagging off of relief to the most affected regions, and 41% of the population will benefit.
Here, with the members of parliament from Karamoja, we have members of parliament from Kotido and Kabong district who are going to participate in the flagging of the district of food relief for the two districts this morning. I want to welcome you all to this function when we, the Ministry of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, are flagging off food relief food items meant for the people who are severely food insecure, and these were affected by hunger in Karamoja sub-region. This is the food that was procured from the 20 billion, which was released this quarter, that the Office of the Prime Minister received this quarter out of the 135 billion approved by Cabinet for Karamoja.
Leaders from affected regions have called upon government to recover peace in the region, to create better environment for cultivation and a road for sustainable development.
Chido is one of the most hit districts in Karamoja in terms of food insecurity and also real insecurity of gun conflict. What has caused this situation? These are the aftermath of conflict, which has resulted into people not going to open their gardens, people not going to cultivate. These are effects of prolonged droughts. Very hot droughts that started as early as January. Prolonged droughts affecting the crops. That's why we are looking at this situation. However, in a nutshell, the question of food insecurity will only be overcome if the insecurity question is answered.
The change of food security has been so much on Kotoro district because we have lost many lives. But I think with the food that is coming out is going to save some lives. I want also to appreciate the intervention by government of the seats. I know my people did not have the energy to cultivate these seeds, but I think this food is going to help them cultivate these seeds. These are short maturing seeds of beans, green ground beans and cowpeas. So I'm very grateful to the government of Uganda for responding really to the plight of the people of Karamoja, and more particularly Kotido.
About 4 things that the government needs to do. One of them is giving relief if the poverty in Karamoja and Kabong district has to be fought. One is giving relief. The other one is restoration of whatever has been lost in Karamoja. People lost oxen to insecurity. Because they didn't have oxen, they could not open land. So a few people that open the land can test something now, but the rest that don't have are raiding gardens.
According to information from local leaders, 8 in every 10 Karamojong households have no or limited food, they say. Hunger-related diseases have claimed more than 900 residents since the beginning of the year.
Sorry about that, a little mistake right there. That was regarding relief being sent to the Karamojongs as the government set off a relief fund that's of informal food to people of Karamoja worth 20 billion of Ugandan shillings, and as per 135.2 billion as per the government's pledge. Regarding that, this follows the prolonged drought that hit Karamoja region recently, and quite a number of people were starving, and that was the relief that was informal food aid that was being given to that. Okay, and now let's get back to the previous story of the Parliamentary Forum on social protection, asking government to scrap off the current fee that was of 50,000 shillings on the new proposed 200,000, while replacing or correcting errors on the national identity cards. The details.
Addressing journalists at Parliament in commemoration of the World Elderly Day due tomorrow, the chairperson of the forum, Flavia Kabahenda, said, addressing journalists at Parliament in commemoration of the World Elderly Day due tomorrow, the chairperson of the forum, Flavia Kabahenda, says such charges have hindered the elderly persons from accessing their social protection fund from banks, being that one is required to have a NIN number.
The requirement of central banks world over that you will not be allowed to open any bank account without a NIN, a national identification number. So that is why older persons cannot be served by Centenary Bank or any other bank as long as they cannot present their NIN. The NIN is the basis for enrollment to SAGE, payroll, and subsequently to the beneficiary accounts opening by the payment service provider.
She also challenged government to explain the discriminatory charges on issuing birth and death certificates, yet the young and dead do not work.
The national identity card for adults is for free, but the birth certificates are for pay. I don't know where the children work for them to pay to be registered as citizens and nationals of this country. It's a shame, it's very laughable that the adults are given for free and the children must pay.
It's from here that the forum urges government also to scrap off charges on both certificates as it is on free national identity cards, and also relocate the head offices of National Identification Registration Authority NIRA from Kololo to ease access.
Let these processes be taken down to the people. The people should not come to Kampala. Take NIRA to the people. I think that is something that is very, very important. Let us ease the process. It must be shortened. I know people who have gone beyond 3 months or even years to access an ID.
To get us a permanent home for NIRA, Kololo is no longer feasible. You recall, if any of you just now passed by Kololo airstrip, but locally there's a very big crusade. They have closed off the public. It's not working. You find this place working twice a week or once a week. Whenever there are national celebrations, it's a no-go area. So they are closed off. In the end, it is the local person who suffers by not accessing the services of this facility. So it's better, and it's high time we changed the headquarters of NIRA where these cards are printed from, where they are processed.
The MPs are also suggesting that the age of accessing social protection fund be reduced from 80 to 65 years of age, being that few people clock age of 80. The celebrations for tomorrow's Elderly Day will be celebrated in Nebi district under the theme Resilience of Older Persons to Cope in the Challenging World. And the guest of honor will be His Excellence Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
That's it regarding the Parliament requesting to scrap off the 200,000, of course, as a fine for replacing and correcting errors on the national identity cards, accompanied with the 50,000 in case somebody needs to get a quick national identity card. And that's it for the news breakup this morning. Let's get into a short commercial break. I'll be joining you again on SMB on ground, and Jerome Paul Sonko will be right here to drive you through the other segments of the show. Good morning. Stick around.